How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Coach Smook with your boy Coach Shawn. Coach J just jumped in on the back here with Monday night quarterback. Oh man, why do I have echo? Okay, there we go. All right. I was trying to figure out why I had an echo, y'all. I had a little echo, but yeah, we're back with it tonight. Coach J getting the sleep out his eye. He had looked like he had one of them good naps early. Look at him. Let me look. Get yourself straight before I bring you on stage, brother. You ready? Bringing them on, man. What's up, bro?
Coach, that's not tiredness. That's tears coming on my eyes.
Oh
That's
Lord,
tears because I had to go
not
back
crying.
and I had to watch the game. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We're definitely going to talk about it. But we
These are
just want to
tears.
welcome you all to the show tonight, man. It's Monday Night Quarterback with the coaches here on Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. Shouts out to Kyle Henderson. He's not here with us tonight, but he is going to be chiming in, giving us some nuggets, things of that nature. Going across the panel, what's going on, my brother, Coach Shawn? How you feeling tonight, man?
Feeling good, feeling bad about the game, but feeling good in life, brother. That's all that matters.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters, man. This life is more than being a fan of a football team. We know that, but it do hurt. Coach J, I feel you, brother. I feel you. I think me and him was trying our best to just let each other get off the little call last week after the game, bro. It was it was one of them things. How you feeling right now, brother? What's going on, Coach J?
I felt, of course, we're all mad about the Texas game and we're all mad about the loss. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And eventually we got to move on and we got to focus on South Florida, man. But I had to just rewatch. Something just told me to rewatch it, especially what everyone's talking about on social media. Former Alabama players kind of doing their chimes. And to see not just once this happening, but to see this several times, because not the several times of Bama players getting absolutely bullied by Texas players after the play was over, right in front of Alabama bench, right in front of their own teammates while they're seeing it happen, and them doing nothing, just sitting there and watching it happen. That pissed me off more than anything that happened because I didn't even catch it. I wasn't even paying attention to it until I had to go back and rewatch it. We want to talk about chemistry. We want to talk about continuity. We want to talk about how we want to bring back murder ball and this and that, but yet we can't even defend our own teammates. Are you kidding me? And I agree with Dante Hightower how it breaks his heart and how Reggie Ragland feels and all these other players. That's embarrassing, man. And again, we'll get into that more, but that pissed me off more than anything else happened against that in that Bama game. That was a disgrace. How we talk all that smack about how we're going to bring back the old mentality of Bama, and to see Texas players not once but several times throughout the game bully you, not just during the play, but after the play, in front of your own teammates and bench, and you did nothing. That pissed me off more than anything that happened throughout that entirety of the game, guys. I'm sorry. I had to get that out. I'm sorry.
I feel you, man. Look, I'm
had
letting you see.
come on my eyes.
You see, I'm letting you get it out because y'all know me. I get long-winded. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet on my just welcome to the show moment. Like this is probably, I want to say probably a trend that I'm tired of seeing with this day and age of players. This is not a coaching failure at no point, guys. At some point, I got to go out there and I got to be a player. I got to be the 5-star. I got to be the dog. I got to be the guy. The same message I've been speaking in all these interviews, everything that I've been saying about bringing back murder ball and all this stuff, it's not the coach's job for me to go out there and do it. It's their job to put me in position to do that. And just like Jay, man, it's not – I didn't see a lot of players out of position last game. We got beat on some plays. Yes, they took advantage of miscues. Yes, out of position plays there. But a lot of plays, we weren't out of position. Guys were just not being the better guy. They were not fighting. They were and the times where they did fight, man, it was like it came to no fruition. Nothing came from it because of our offensive struggles. But we're going to dive into the meeting everything of the Texas game and also looking forward to the USF game. But I want y'all to understand, man, this is the best case scenario for a team that came in with so many questions. As bad as we want to feel, as bad as we want to look at the game and break it down and pick out all the negatives, this is probably the best case scenario. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to bring my point up later later in the show. But for now, let's get into the schematics of everything. Let's talk about the Texas game, post game. Let's try to stay detached from our emotions when we talk about this game, guys. Because there was a lot of bad things. I'm not going to say a lot of bad things. There was some key bad things that happened, but there were a lot of good things that I saw that we can build off of moving forward and figuring out our identity, especially in the trenches, man. A lot of questions got answered. So before we came on, myself and Coach Shawn, we were talking about, breaking down the offensive and defensive side, just like we did last week coming into the game. Coach Shawn, coming into this game, we highlighted the battle in the trenches between our offensive line and their defensive line because in today's chat, we're going to start on the offensive side. Offensive line wise, what did you see? What did you want to see from the offensive line, and what was expected contrasted to what actually happened? Break down what you saw, how you evaluated the O-line throughout this game.
For me, I'll be honest with you, man. It wasn't shocking at all. I had seen several scrimmage clips where they were struggling in pass protection. I don't really care who weighed 330 pounds. The bottom line is those guys got fatigued. They got beat up in the trenches. We struggled in pass protection. So I don't give a damn what quarterback you put in there. If we can't block up front, you're going to have issues. For me, I would have liked to see us run the ball a little more effectively. Jace was having some success. It's like we stopped running the ball for some reason. The game wasn't out of hand, or, I know we got in a few third and longs, but we should have stayed with the run. It seemed like the offensive line got a little more juice when they were run blocking instead of constantly pass blocking, constantly trying to find where the quarterback is. I was dissatisfied. I ain't gonna lie. You can always tell when an offensive lineman is fatigued because they'll start to lunge. The technique goes out the window. They'll start to try to rely on athletic abilities. Same things they do in high school. And that goes for seniors or juniors. Fatigue will make cowards of us all, man. And you definitely saw that with the offensive line. For me, I was dissatisfied. I enjoyed the power run game in the first quarter, maybe. But from the middle of the second quarter on, we were getting beat up. I'm not used to seeing Alabama get beat up in the trenches like that. And I'm talking about both lines, offense and defense.
Wait, Coach, you're on mute. There you go.
Oh, my fault. I'm sorry.
Yep,
Can y'all hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm going to piggyback right off of what Shawn was saying. Coach Shawn, I'm right there with you. I think the offensive line started very strong. I think they started just like we needed them to. The first 3 run plays resulted in 2 first downs. Okay, you get what I'm saying. So the offensive run game came out. They established their momentum early. The first drive, I honestly believe that was the tone setter for us to come away with no points on that drive. Was probably a momentum killer, but I think Tommy Rees didn't go away from the run early. It's just the way the game started to unfold. The early mistake by Jalen Milroe caused the offensive line to start getting in panic mode. I saw Caden Proctor start reaching and stop being patient and allowing things to develop. Started reaching, which was having him get beat. He was looking for things that weren't there, hesitating to cover his assignment. And he's a young guy, true freshman, guys, going against, everybody that lined up across him since he's been in college has been a 5-star or higher. You know what I'm saying? Like a 4-star or higher. So the kid's not, it's different between game reps and practice reps. So he's got his welcome to college football moment. My problem would be if we see the same thing against USF, if we see the same thing against Ole Miss, that's when I would start having an issue and start wanting to question as far as his commitment. Offensive line wise, Booker, you got to be better, man. Latham, you got to be better. McLaughlin, you got to be more consistent. And Dalcourt, believe it or not, guys, Dalcourt played a strong first quarter. I don't know what happened after that first quarter. I don't know, bro. I thought we had Dalcourt from 19, 18, whenever he came in that game. I thought we had him. At least if we would have had Dalcourt for another half, I think we stick to that inside run game where we was having a lot of effectiveness at. But that kid, after the first quarter, it's just like the offensive line was not consistent. And they were winning some matchups here and there, I didn't expect us to dominate. But guys, the way that we just could not fight in the trenches was a concern of mine. Coach Jay, give me your thoughts, man, on just the front, man, before we dive into any other part of the offensive side. Talk about that O-line.
I thought that we were way too inconsistent. The first quarter, again, like you just said before, in the power run game, I mean, Darren Delcourt had his best game, but Seth McLaughlin, again, on those combo blocks were really, I mean, it was like night and day. I'm like, what the hell is what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
But everything was clicking on all cylinders. I mean, Proctor was dominant in the first quarter in the run game. Latham and Booker were decent, but the fact that Proctor and Dalcourt, two guys that have been questioned, that have kind of been a little questionable, were having their best performances in the first quarter, especially against guys like Tavondre Sweat, and then you had Ethan Burke coming off the edge, was really, really nice. I think that if we would establish, if the run game was more consistent, and if we had a little bit more drive, a little bit more push, and again, when those holes start to close and running backs can't get it going, it gets rough. And again, we can't put all the blame on the running backs. And again, the running backs didn't play perfect because I think Jace tried to bounce it off a little bit too much, instead of just trying to focus a little bit more inside, where he could have picked up a couple extra yards instead of trying to go for the big play. But offensively, the offensive line was really nice in the first quarter. I thought it was way more consistent. We just couldn't click in the passing attack. We just couldn't really click, and I don't know if that took away the momentum of the offensive line, of the fact that we became a little bit too predictable at times, because for the most part on second and let's say 7 or 8 or 9, for the most part these were passing plays. But on run plays, when it was second or third and 5, these were starting to become a lot more pass plays in the first half. So maybe we were a little bit more too predictable. Maybe we made it a little bit too easier for Texas, for them to kind of to make those correct predictions and make those correct assessments and really have that much and make those adjustments, and knowing what we were going to do. Maybe that's on Tyrese for that. But at the same time, though, we talk about murder ball. We talk about physicality, and we talk about how this offensive line has all this size. Texas matched it like it was nothing. And this is the SEC, man. LSU has, when Mason Smith gets back in, he didn't play in the Florida State game. When he gets back, he's bigger than almost every single one of our offensive linemen. He's one of the better interior guys combined with him and Wingo. How is that going to look? How is it going to look when we go against a physical Auburn front? I mean, how the SC is as far as the matching the physicality, especially with our front. So that it is concerning a little. It is definitely concerning, the fact that this offensive line just couldn't really generate that much of a push. And maybe Tyrese has got to do a better job of scheming for it, because the drop off from the first quarter all the way to what we had in the second, third, and fourth quarter was staggering. So we got to try to get back to that. Maybe again, if this offensive line has more drive and more of a push, maybe we start to run a lot more zone read. Maybe for the most part, we start to incorporate more QB design runs, and we start to kind of really get their defense on their toes. But at the same time, though, this offensive line has got to step up. All the great Alabama teams that won national championships all of them had great offensive lines that were great in the run game and great in the passing attack. So we got to get back into that. I don't know if we can make adjustments and we can fix it. I think we in this Texas game, we showed the potential that we can. We just got to find a way to be more consistent.
I'm going to say this. One thing about this offense, and that I see early, that's going to have to be, in order for us to get rolling with Jalen Milroe at quarterback. And this is only right now with Jalen Milroe being at quarterback. In order for this offense, the way that Tommy Rees wants to call this ball game and keep a balanced edge, inside presence as far as attacking in the run game, extended run game, you can't have, when you go and you dial up the pass, whether it's quick pass game, stick pass game, deep shot, whatever, your decisions have to be made in clockwork manner. And one thing I noticed is the moment we were struggling to get the ball off in the pass game, which wasn't due to pressure, it was due to lack of reads. That's the moment offensive linemen started, our offensive run game, especially on the edge, started struggling. I don't know if you remember, but Jace McClellan in the first quarter, I think it was either the third or fourth carry he had. he could have bounced it outside, but he leaned inside. He kept leaning inside. I think Caden Proctor ended up coming through and helping them push through and gaining like 8 yards on the carry. Things of that nature made me realize that guys are doing their assignments. They're doing their assignments. It's the fact of finishing those assignments that's what ended up getting us in the second, third, and fourth quarter. Because Dalcourt, like we said, was firing off the ball. People don't understand that first initial push in between the guards is so important when you talk about establishing any type of gain or any type of success with the run game. Inside the guards is probably your most important push. No matter if you're trying to get to the perimeter, because guys start to overcompensate when they're getting pushed from the inside. So once we started struggling with that, that's when I saw the change. But overall, if we could go down the line and give our guys a grade as far as an offensive line, I give our guys a B-, man, for that game, because there were times where they created opportunities. They created so many opportunities, and we knew they were going up against a talented front seven, a talented front three. You know, that defensive pass, that front seven, that front three for them is probably one of the most talented that you're going to see on our schedule this season. So for them to go in there and to create plays, create opportunities, like they did, I give them a B-, and that's being real hard on them, because there were so many matchups, one-on-ones that were being lost in that game, and it just hurt us. Too many of them were happening, you know, in different spots where we needed these guys to win. Coach Shawn, what you grading these guys?
Man, I'm not giving them no B. Absolutely not.
I said a B-, man, and that's because of what I saw early on, man.
Nah, I'm not doing that, brother. I respect it, but the truth is in the details, man. That's like a D to me. It's 5 sacks, people getting knocked off the ball. You let one dude. I seen Seth and old boy double teaming dudes still getting whipped. Nah, man, we can't beat nobody like that. That's worth beating. That was a tremendously bad showing, and it wasn't even about the technique, like you said. You were right about that. I just didn't see the fight. I'm talking about when it was isolation, these dudes were getting whipped up front. They was getting pressure on our quarterback with 3 people getting whipped, you know, and I'm not blaming individuals, because I understand protections. We had 5-man protection still getting whipped. I'm talking about stuff like, what's his name, Jerick? What's his name? Tavondre. Dude is a beast, I understand, but he was whipping Seth to death. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just not used to seeing our offensive line getting beat up like that. We got beat up, brother. We got straight whipped at the line of scrimmage. And I'm talking about those guys stayed on our side of the line of scrimmage. If I had to grade them, it'll be a slap D for this game, straight up. And I'm being nice, straight up.
That's good. All right, Coach Jay, what you got, man? Give him your grade.
I give him a C-. I give them a C- because there were opportunities in both the run and the pass play where I felt like, for the most part, especially when we were in pass pro, there were opportunities where Jalen Milroe, if he can just read, if he can just go and just find those reads instead of holding the ball for more than 2 or 3 seconds, you know, I think that it could change life.
That changes the mode. I'm telling you, that changes the whole mode of the game. The pressure is called up different from Texas. I mean, that's my point. When we were effective, the D-line was ineffective. Their Texas front was ineffective early in the first. I mean, whole first quarter, honestly. We just didn't capitalize on the plays. You can't help your old line if you're missing the easy stuff, man. You can't. I mean, offensive line doing their job. You can't help them and now I bring 5 and it dismantles everything. Come on, I mean, the quarterback, and it wasn't on the old line when they was bringing those 5. It was literally the quarterback not trusting his protection. The first read Jalen Milroe missed, guys. Come on now, that's elementary. That wasn't protection. That was elementary, guys. I'm sorry, Coach. Go ahead.
No, I was just about to say, no, I agree with you. I felt like, for the most part, we made it easy for Texas. We made it easy for Texas to make adjustments. We made it easy for Texas to go to we really bought them time to find the correct formations and really find what the kryptonite for stopping the run and stopping the pass. Because that first quarter, you can tell that they were kind of feeling Alabama out. They didn't really know they had an idea of what to play, but they weren't really comfortable until we got into the second quarter. Once we got into the second quarter and they knew exactly what was going on, how Jalen Milroe was missing the first reads. A lot of the first down plays that we were doing were simple pass plays that we just couldn't really hurt on. And a lot of them were literally reads that were open to a point where defensive back and safeties had to turn their hips and they're chasing down. And again, this is what we talked about, the crossing routes and dig routes that were open, but Jalen Reed is he continues to look for those short intermediate throws and lock onto the first. It just makes it predictable now, because when you don't have, and honestly, I don't know, and maybe I can ask you guys both this. I don't think Tyler Reese trusts Jalen Milroe.
Me neither.
I think after the first quarter, I think after what he was able to see, and you can tell how he wanted to go a lot more balanced. He wanted to establish more of a power run game, but he wanted to get Texas defense and Pete Kwiatkowski
off balance, something.
He wanted them off balance. He wanted that respect. He wanted them to kind of fear. You don't know what Alabama could do, because then guess what? We can run a lot more zone. We can run a lot more RPO based concepts to a point where you have to. I mean, we can throw it over the top of you, or we can establish and be dominant in the front. And when we become a little bit too predictable, because we're trying to figure out offensively what can work for Jalen Milroe to work with,
right,
it's too late. Like, we've made the game, even though we can talk about how dominant Texas defensive line was. And again, our offensive line, again, it wasn't great. We didn't really help the offensive line out as much easier, I think, from a game plan perspective, because we couldn't really execute. We couldn't execute all the simple things. And it made it harder for our offensive line to really, in a way, to stop Tech. I mean, that's a really good front, man. And when you make it easier for them and make it too predictable,
it's going to be hard.
Like that.
I mean, it's going to be hard. Coach Shawn, we said it. In order to bring pressure off of the offensive line, you have to test the secondary. Their secondary didn't do anything special on either one of those picks. The corner got the corner got looked into the route. You know what I'm saying? He got telegraphed, hey, Milroe, drop back and look. And I see y'all giving Milroe a lot of crap in the comments, you know what I'm saying, which is well deserved, because at this point, the reads that I was seeing, literally elementary stuff, this guy just didn't trust the protection. And I believe from that was the down spiral of everything else that led to how this game went about, guys. We got to hold everybody accountable at every level. So as we get off of the offensive line, you guys saw we end up with like a C average and that's me being nice with our O-line and understanding what's behind it. And that's at the quarterback position. Before we go to quarterback position, running backs, wide receivers, our specialty groups, tight ends. If I had to grade them as a whole, I'm giving them a solid B, a B plus. And that's talking about, I'm talking about with their small sample size of what they got to work with. One early drop by Knee Black, who was thrown into some crazy going across the middle coverage. That first pass to Knee Black, and he fully extended for that one. You know, you don't get that from guys nowadays that care about, you know, that's pretty boy. So I don't want to hear that about them guys playing soft, but those wide receivers made all them big catches were saving Jalen's life, saving the game, and the two that got called back on Jermaine Burton. Even the one that Jermaine Burton caught in the end zone was a bad pass, and he just played the ball. It was times last year stuff like that would happen, and guys would give up on the play. So I see a different mentality in our wide receivers and the tight ends. CJ Dupree did not give up on one route and got looked off more than half the game. I mean, the first pick that Jalen threw, CJ Dupree, backside slant with the strong side coverage. He's not even looking backside. CJ Dupree cuts across the front of the face of the linebacker, and the safety is late on dropping down the cover. And if you throw it there, it's probably 24, 25-yard gain, you know, because the kid's not moving slow when he catch the ball. He's not getting taken down one-on-one by a safety. It's just things of that nature this guy did not remember. Coach Jay, talk to me, man. Wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, talk to me.
Yep, and I apologize for the background noise. Of course, we got the Bills game going on. I'm a huge Bills fan. Go Bills. But running backs and receivers, if I have to separate groups, I would give the running backs, just real quick, I'll give them a B minus. I'll give the running backs a B minus because of what I loved in the first quarter. But pass pro, and then when it came to us kind of bouncing it off a little bit, because you can tell that we were trying to, the holes were opening up, and we had to try to, and these running backs had to try to create opportunities of their own. You know, you kind of feel bad for them. Receivers, I'm giving this group an A. Right, I understand that we have some drops, but these receivers did their job. They were getting open. They were getting behind. They were getting behind the secondary. They were getting behind bracket coverage. They were getting behind the too high. They were getting behind pretty much every defense that you threw at them. And then a lot of the plays that they had to make with Jalen Milroe throwing the ball, it wasn't because Jalen Milroe, for the most part, a majority of them weren't throwing them open. It was because they had to make plays on the ball in double coverage. the Isaiah, the Kobe Prentice crazy catch, the Bonds of the world. I mean, these guys had to make plays on the football. So I feel bad for the receivers and I feel bad for tight ends because they did exactly what we thought they could do. The Texas game was a complete failure last year because they couldn't get any separation. They didn't know the concepts that were designed from wasn't really the best, but these guys weren't making the effort to get open last year. These guys this year made the effort to get open, and you can just tell they enjoy this offense. They enjoy it. You can tell that it's extremely simple. It's very easy to follow, and they trust the process.
Yeah.
But if we don't have the quarterback that can deliver them the ball on time, and especially putting them in bad situations to a point where they're going to get blown up constantly, it's not going to make a difference. So it's just, and again, it's going to get back, and we'll talk about it in a little. But we got to find a quarterback that can get these guys the football. We got to find it because they're doing their jobs. They're getting open. They're finding ways. We got to find a way to deliver. So I'll give that group an A.
Coach Shawn, you remember how we gave these guys high praises during the game? I honestly was astonished at the type of work these guys were putting in. I'm talking about mainly for me was big was run blocking. I saw a lot of key run blocks from our wide receivers and tight ends. So go ahead and highlight, man, what you saw.
I give them as far as the wide receivers, I give the wide receivers an A. I really liked how they played. They competed. I like how they released off the line of scrimmage. They had some issues getting open late in the game, but that's after Texas knew what we could and couldn't do. I give the running backs a B, but I will say I don't like the rotation. I played running back in college. I don't like give 5 carries and you come out, give 3 carries and you come out, give 2 carries and you come out. Put somebody in, give them about 15 carries. Running back is a different position because you have to get in the rhythm.
Yeah,
running back in the offensive line also has to get in the rhythm from that running back. Every running back is different. Some guys are jump cut running backs. Some guys are straight press the line of scrimmage. Dudes are different. So when you flip flop running, and I understand what Coach Saban is trying to do. He's trying to keep everybody happy. I get it, but it's very, very difficult on offense to get a rhythm when you're changing running backs every 4 or 5 plays. So I give these guys an A on as far as the wide receivers are concerned. Maybe a B plus at the running backs because late in the game, I seen Jace miss a couple of holes. I even seen Jam trying to bust everything outside.
Yeah,
and I know what that usually means. So you got to put one guy in there and let him at least get hot or get cold, and then move forward, go with the flow of the game. The rotation, I'm not a big fan of it this quickly at that position, but in 2023, I do understand why.
Yeah, and Shawn, you said something big about those running backs having to get in the rhythm. That's the thing that I think last year we didn't benefit from early in games, having Bryce as a quarterback. You had guys breaking off, Brian Robinson breaking off, 8-9 yard runs early in the game, and we would go away from it before it stopped working. And honestly, I didn't see Tommy Rees do that. I felt like his play calling got forced into what we ended up with in the third quarter. After a big turnover like Milroe had, I saw the play calling change. And let's get on into the quarterback conversation. The thing is with Jalen Milroe tonight, y'all, he failed us. At the end of the day, he failed us, and we can't put it all on him. But the opportunities he had, we knew that we were going up against a good team. I saw a comment in here by, I think it's a Georgia fan. We're trying to discount what Texas. No, we're not discounting anything. My whole point of this whole game is offensively, when Texas had their opportunities, they capitalized. Alabama had multiple opportunities. We had four for sure. 4 for sure that I can point out if we was to get into dissecting and breaking down film. But you talking about taking advantage of opportunities, and it all stemmed down to the quarterback throwing the ball. That's what the difference in the game is. We lose by 10. How many points did we get taken off the ball because of missed plays or lack of execution? But 2 plays, which could have put 14 points on the board, was QB throws. True or false? And that's not discrediting Jalen Milroe for anything as far as him as a young man, but in this game as at this level of college football, you have to be able to make those few plays when you're playing against good teams because it's always come down. It's a game of inches, guys. It's a game of inches. Jalen Milroe missed Jace McClellan on the wheel route by a few inches. Same thing with the deep pass to Burke. Who was the underthrown pass? Was it Bonds? He underthrew. deep ball pass was underthrown to Bonds. I
Oh,
can't
yep,
remember
yep.
which one.
That was Bond. That was Bond. I know what you're talking about.
And then missed Burton on the scramble when he rolled out left and threw it short to McClellan. It got a first
Wide open on
down,
the
wide open, but he was open
streaking down the
before the
field.
scramble out, man. That's what I'm saying. That and those are the
Yes,
small
yes.
things. Those are the small things that I'm saying matter in big games like this. A lot of people are not going to like it. They're going to say we're trying to blame Milroe, but it's not that we're blaming him. Those are the small things that we expect from a guy that's been in the program for 3 years. He's in his third start. He's already had to play under the lights. Coach Shawn, follow up, man. Tell me, because you the one brought me back to that point about guys making the small plays. We're not going to be able to blow these guys out. You said it. You told me in my face. You said we're not going to be able to blow these guys out. We got to make a small plays.
Shout out to Tommy Lee. I agree with you 1,000%, Tommy Lee. I'd rather have my coordinators on the field gauging the temperature of the offense or the defense. For me, man, I mean, we all know Milroe. We all know the guy didn't have a great game. We all know he threw the ball in the zone coverage. We all know he did, and they teach that in youth league. I'll just be honest with you. They teach that in youth league. I understand. I'm not hard on the guy like he's terrible or this, that, and I'm not gonna say that, man, because if you listen to what Coach Saban said today in his press conference, he said one line that every fan should listen to, and this is why I'm backing up off bench Jalen Milroe right now. Coach Saban said they was asking him about Ty Buckner, and he said he didn't say Ty Buckner's name, but he said, well, if the other guy was better, he'd be playing. That's what he said. Yep. So you got to be careful calling for these quarterbacks that may possibly be worse than what we saw. I mean, I understand we all want different, including myself. But I'll tell you guys here in the next segment what I found out. I went back and did some research on Tommy Rees. Great offensive coordinator. I think he called the game the way it was supposed to be called. But I do not think, now without that, I watched the game back a few times, I don't think they used Jalen Milroe to his strengths. They accentuated his weaknesses, not his strengths. Jalen Milroe is not a 5-step drop quarterback. Jalen Milroe is not a drop back, read defense, read coverage, find the receiver, go through progression. That's just not where he's at in his career right now. You got to use Jalen Milroe like you use Lamar Jackson at the time, like you use Cam at the time, like you use Jalen Hurts, the young man from Arkansas. You got to do a lot of things with Jalen Milroe that accentuates his strengths, not his weaknesses. And that's exactly what we done. We asked this kid to go out and go through progression and set his feet. That kid may have set his feet 3-4 times the entire game. He had happy feet. That's just not his game. He's not Bryce Young. They're two different guys, fellas. So I don't, I'm on the train of we got to do something different. But I did see some things that I think we could have did better. It's very familiar if you go back and you watch the 2 Clemson games Notre Dame had when they had Ian Book. The first game when they had Trevor Lawrence, they tried to turn Ian Book into a pocket passer. The guy dropped back 15, 16 times trying to read defense, and they lost that game. They didn't score a lot of points. They lost that game. They played Clemson again without Trevor Lawrence, of course, even though DJU had a great game that game, and they rolled him out. They did all sorts of things to help him out. Quick screens, quick passes, roll him out. A lot of quarterback keepers, and they scored a lot of points and won that game. So you can't fit a square peg into a round hole, guys. I mean, Jalen Milroe is just not that type of quarterback. And even though he did not play well, please don't mistake what I'm saying. We got to put him in position and not ask him to do things that's not his strength.
This is the game we said we give us our measuring stick of where we were. And I think that's what Tommy Rees had to do with Jalen Milroe. You had to see if the pocket the presence in the pocket had grown as much as you would want it to be for you to utilize the offense. Because you never go into the first game or the first 2 or 3 weeks with your full identity or your offensive scheme. You're still filling guys out under the lights, man. Guys do one thing in practice and do another thing once that whistle blows and the lights are on. So I really feel like we put Jalen Milroe to the test. And to me, we talking about grading guys. I'm gonna give Jalen Milroe a C-, y'all. Composure kept him from getting a D. His ability to stay in the game, keep his head in the game. I don't think Jalen Milroe's head was ever out of the game. I think things just happened that were above his level of learning as far as understanding what defense is going to try to do to him when he's in certain situations. And I saw last week the announcers, they were giving him credit for This guy just seems to understand the process of why plays are being called, this, that, and the third. Against Texas, I didn't see that from Milroe. And so that was the game I felt like he needed to be tested. Week 2, non-conference game against a ranked opponent at home. It's all favor for you to be successful, but you experience some adversity. Now, how do we respond? That's why I'm not the one to call for a guy after one bad game. We saw Mac Jones throw 2 pick sixes his first start against Auburn. And that Auburn team was not national championship contenders. They were not.
Yeah, but their defense was top 5. That was a top 5 defense nationally in the country.
Do you not think that Texas defense is talented enough to be top 5 this year? The way that front is moving, especially in the Big 12.
It has a chance, but Mac Jones also threw for 336 yards and he had a 66% completion percentage with an 89 QBR.
Different side of mind and processing. And you look at the offense, similar conceptual schemes, different type of motion and things that we saw more when Mac Jones was there. But you talk about just dissecting defenses for what they give you. Milroe didn't step up to the plate at the level we needed him to. And that's the only thing. We're not discounting Milroe for anything. Let's get into coach and play calling. You were already leaning on
out to Al
Shawn.
Shout out Al Sanders. What's up? What you said, Coach Smook? He had said an earlier comment about Milroe.
I was talking about what your mic breaking up. What you saying, bro?
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
I was just saying about the offensive play calling. You were already leaning towards it. How Tommy Rees, didn't call the Milroe's scheme playing style. And I felt like that in the second half. When it came down to crunch time, when we were only down by 1, let's rely on what he does best. I feel like we put him in a position to drop back, and that second pick was that position. Even though the routes were open, things were open. I felt like for that time in that moment, let him be an athlete and let him play football to do what he thinks is best to be a player and get us back in the game. You get what I'm saying? And Shawn, you were talking about it when we took the lead. Go back to that drive when Texas came down and just drove it. How they set the ball up for yours to just go play ball.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, man, I didn't see any design runs for Jalen Milroe. I don't remember none. No designed runs. I'm not talking about scramble.
That one when he had the empty back.
It was one QB. Yeah, it was one QB.
Yeah, that 27-yarder he broke.
Okay, exactly. I didn't see any RPOs where he kept the ball on his own. No misdirection at all. It's like they tried to turn this guy into a pocket passer, and he made some things happen deep down the field. But I'm gonna tell the fans something. And I play with several different quarterbacks. The deep ball is the easiest ball to throw for a quarterback. Just the deep ball. That's the easiest ball to throw. So if you're going to use this guy, you got to use his strengths, especially when it was a 1-possession game. You got to let this guy go out there and cut it loose, man. You got to let him do what he's comfortable with doing. When that last interception, the one where I almost broke my TV, and I'm not that kind of fan, brother, when he dropped back and threw the ball into zone coverage, I was upset, but at the same time, look what they're asking this kid to do. This is a very important drive. You got this kid 3-step dropping, 5-step dropping, trying to read, go through progression.
We got to roll him out, get him off platform, man. So he got that option.
Yeah, you got to roll this guy out. You got to get him out of the pocket, get him somewhere in space where he can make a play with his feet or make a play with his arm. So for me, after I watched the game back a few times, I'm upset because he still missed a gang of open receivers. But Tommy Rees could have did a better job in the utilization of his skill set.
I think going forward, he does. He learned that in that Texas game. I honestly, a good coaching staff takes this, and somebody said it earlier in the chat. 2015, we lost an early game like this, y'all. But I don't. The only difference is what we're going to jump into now. The defense. I don't see a 2015, 2016 style defense. As good as this defense played, I don't see that angry defense. And they a lot of guys, like we said, on both sides of the ball, kids made plays last Saturday. This is week 2, guys. These guys are not in mid-season shape. Guys are still cramping up. Guys are out there with concussions. Caleb Downs out there with a concussion. Not wanting to, take that break. It's like we're seeing the early season woes. They're just highlighted now because of what Bama is coming off of last season. All the questions we're coming into the season with. We always start off these seasons with these similar questions. My question to you all as a panel, and we'll start with Coach J, on the defensive side, biggest area of concern in the trenches. Let's go start in the trenches just like we did on offense. Biggest area of concern in the defensive line.
That's the biggest concern is the interior pass rush, because I highlighted this in the Middle Tennessee game. The fact that it was a little concerning that we had no sort of, there just wasn't that one player that was just dominant as far as interior pass rushing goes. Of course, Jaheim Otis is probably the best, definitely out of all of them, but I didn't see the Timothy Smiths and the Justin Abobies consistently blow plays up and use their own arsenal of pass rushing moves to just go ahead and affect the quarterback. I'm not talking about just standing him up and creating open holes for other players to make opportunities to get to the ball. I'm talking about pulling a Quentin Williams, a Vidarian Mathis, a Christian Barmore, those caliber of players where they can do both if they want. They can either blow the play up, or they can simply just play gap, create opportunities for other players in order for them to get to the quarterback, right? You can do whatever you want with those guys. There's not that one player here. There's not that one player that can blow up the pocket and really kind of close that in. There's not that one particular player on this team. Maybe Otis has the potential of doing that, but I think with what they're asking for Otis, there's only really so much he can do, and I just don't think he's at that stage of his career yet to be there. So that's like, Tim Keenan is great in run support, but in pass, and Coach Shawn even talked about this in pass rushing situations. You don't want him there on the field. He's a non-factor. Yep. So it's figuring out what can we do to try to bolster this interior pass rushing set? Like, what can we do to bolster that? Because I don't really have that much of a concern with our linebackers. I thought our linebackers played solid. I thought our secondary, for the most part, is getting a little bit too much on them because they played excellent in the first half. And I think that the fatigue factor and the fact that we weren't really getting that much of a rush from our edge rushers in our interior, like Quentin Ewers pretty much had a clean pocket. And for the most part, it was just 3-step and quick release. The ball was already gone before they could even get to Quinn. But the secondary, for the most part, did a lot that we're just not really highlighting. They did a lot that game, and they were asked to do too much. And they got, again, we talked about with Steve Sarkisian. He's a phenomenal play designer. He's going to find weaknesses, and he's going to expose it. Right, Coach Shawn highlighted this so much last week. So the interior pass rush, it's got to get better, guys. In order for us to get to where we need to get to, we just can't play the run well. We got to figure out a way to be way more diverse and to establish more of an interior pass rush.
Yeah, right there with you, Coach Jay. I'm going to talk about the linebackers before Coach Shawn talk about the secondary. You highlighted linebackers. I feel like they did their job and some, especially Tresman Marshall with filling the run gaps, man. It was a lot of plays that Malachi Moore and Caleb Downs were making on the interior run game because of Tresman Marshall coming up and creating havoc, getting that extra, making that running back make that second or third read or not being able to make that first cut. Trez Marshall was there. And then his ability to get to the perimeter and stop plays that last year were going for these 2 yard behind the line of scrimmage plays were going for 15, 16 yards last year. It was one play in particular in the second quarter. If Trez Marshall is not there sprinting to the sideline, that's instead of a 7-yard gain, that's a 17, 18-yard gain before the safety could get there to make the play. Caleb Downs, so I did see some adjustments on the defensive side, especially in the linebacker position, inside linebacker, when we got the play action with the tight end or the H-back releasing to the flats. I saw guys crashing to that. The one time we got beat on it, Caleb Downs was late. And it's the fact that he's a true friend. Caleb Downs, to be put in the situation he was put in against a Steve Sarkisian coach offense and the type of receivers, the caliber of receivers he was going against, the tight end he's going against, probably the number one tight end in this draft going into next year, Jatavius Sanders. The type of positions Caleb Downs was put in as far as trying to make judgment calls, I feel like he held his own. There were key plays where they finally took advantage of him. They were able to complete the pass, but underneath him, it was easier on him because of what was happening with those inside linebackers. And let's talk about the outside linebackers, man. Dallas Turner, Braswell, Robinson. Even though they didn't get chances to affect the pass rush, I feel like you guys could have did better on pursuit. I feel like they could, on a lot of those run plays, you see Dallas Turner standing up behind the play, not getting in the mix, chasing it down. And that's something that I believe makes offensive linemen respect those edge rushers a lot more. Coach Shawn, talk about the secondary for me, man. How you feel about those guys? I know we had a few penalties, but talk about it, man.
I feel like late in the game, we gave up a few extra stuff. I felt like the offense gained confidence in trying Kool-Aid because late in the game they went at Kool-Aid just as much as they went at Terrion. But I will say this: Terrion, he had a few penalties. I think he had 3 penalties. But I'd much rather give up a 15-yarder than a touchdown. I think Coach Smook was one who said that, you know, technique-wise, man, they were lacking a little bit after the fatigue set in. But let me say this, man. When you look at our schedule, when you look at Texas A&M, you look at LSU, you look at Tennessee, as a complete whole, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, multiple wide receivers, as that combo, I don't know if we face another team with the talent that Texas had on that side of the ball. Sure, we
maybe A&M. Maybe A&M.
I think they got 2 receivers. I don't know if Connor Weigman is. I can't say Connor Weigman, his deep ball. I don't know, man. I don't know if Texas A&M is even deep. Texas A&M may have 2 or 3 first rounders on that side of the ball, man. You know, they got several receivers who are awesome. Their tight end, Coach J, has spoke on him several times. I mean, Quinn Ewers. Texas has a plethora of offensive weapons and ways to attack you, and their coach, man. So when you look at LSU and all these other teams we play, I don't know if we'll be tested quite to that effect again. I'm sure we'll be tested, obviously, but not quite like that. You know what I'm saying? I think if I had to grade the secondary, I'll give them a C, a high C, low B. I mean, because it could have got way worse. I mean, we held those guys to 13 points, man, in the bottom of the 3rd, top of the 4th, whatever it was. Anytime you can hold an offense like that as a whole to that less of points, you got to give some kudos to that side of the ball, because it could have been a lot worse, man. So, yes, I do think as fatigue set in, I mean, the defense have been on the field for 70-plus plays, bro. So, of course, they're going to give up some. But, so, you know, I'm not too hard on the secondary. I think those guys, low B, high C, I don't think they played too bad at all.
You talk about a 14-point swing that was due to when they scored on big possessions, they were off of turnovers.
Yeah.
I can't remember short field. But I do remember the long drive when they came out after Milroe led down, and that to me that's one of those off schedule drives where they had already created 4 stops before that. Yep. So how much do you expect from a defensive secondary that's not getting a pass rush in front of them? I mean, Jerick, you called it out. Arnold made 2 smart pass interference calls. One of them shouldn't have been a pass interference call because he was looking back at the ball and him and the receiver tripped over each other's legs. Receiver just didn't fall. How you call the guy that falls, you know, call it on him? He's clearly both of them looking back. So it was one of those things. Arnold showed me a lot of improvement. But it all comes down to the small things, guys. And, you know, Downs' inexperience got keyed. We thought, you know, most people think when you talk about guys being inexperienced on the field, you want to go at that guy early, right? No, Sark is smart enough to let a guy get comfortable. He let Downs come up and not let him, but he watched Downs come up and run support very strong. Watch Downs break on the intermediate out cutting routes to his side of the field. Very strong, play those strong. His pass support game over top was strong. So he sucked him in. He allowed him to get real comfortable, and the thing he had a bead. And the moment he did, what happened? We sent the delayed route at him, sent the delayed post at him, and he never saw it coming. And when he did see it coming, Whittington, or was it Whittington or Worthy? That was Worthy, right? Yeah. Had him on the skinny shimmy post. I mean, it was nasty. I don't expect a freshman to be ready for that. You know, especially after the type of play calling that was coming at him. So I'm with you, man. I give them a strong B in that secondary. Strong B, because I see, like you said, I don't see anybody having that many receivers that can just 4 deep can rotate.
Yeah, not in abundance like that. Not with
a tight end. Not with a tight end option that acts as your 5th or 6th receiver. You get what I'm saying?
Coach J has been on that tight end for a while. That tight end showed me a lot, man. He showed me a lot.
He showed us a lot last year. He just didn't get the opportunities because of Hudson Card being out there. So, I mean, but he cooked last year. So give credit where credit is due, especially to Texas and their defensive front. I think they showed up and showed out, and their offensive line held up. They didn't dominate. They just held up, man. They gave Quinn Ewers. It was a couple times, especially the Braswell sack when Ewers threw it across the middle to Witten in the second half. That was so close, man. I mean, like inches. Braswell is falling on this guy while he's letting the ball go. So it's small things that I see will be improved. Move on to University of South Florida week. I know we want to continue to talk about Texas, but as a Bama fan base, we got to learn to, like Coach Saban say, process these things and move forward. We got another team in South Florida coming in. They're looking to continue to create madness. Simple as that. Anytime anybody can come in and create a different narrative for Bama or be a part of a narrative that says Alabama is not dominant or Alabama's not at the top anymore, I guarantee you they're jumping at the bit. So if you have looked or if anybody's looked on the panel, what do you see going into this game just from an Alabama standpoint offensively, Coach Jay? Talk to me. You're muted, brother. Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Offensively, looking at South Florida, man, I think South Florida, for the most part, I think they're a little bit too much of an aggressive offense. I know they struggled week 1, but week 2, they definitely were able to make adjustments. I like their physicality. I like their confidence. I like the quarterback's composure. I think that this is going to be an offense that's going to look at Alabama. They're going to take a look at a little bit of the weaknesses, and I think they're going to really challenge. They're going to challenge Alabama through the air. I think they're going to take some shots a lot deep. I think they're going to take a look at the weaknesses and potentially test out Caleb Downs a little bit more often. I wouldn't be surprised at all, for the most part, if they try to, not just focus on the short intermediate routes, but really try to go beyond the 15, 20-yard marks. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I think if in a lot of teams that are not on the level of Texas, which for the most part, you take a look at the Middle Tennessees and South Florida of the world, teams like that typically try to go for short passes and try to get run after the catch Alabama's defense off guard. I think one thing Alabama has gotten really good at, even the Texas game in the first half, they were really solid in, was coming up and helping in run support, especially from our corners of playing that edge contain, just doing a really, really good job doing that, so that a lot of our other players can go ahead and clean up. So I think that for the most part, I wouldn't be surprised if they take chances. They just go out and say, you know what, let's take chances. Let's catch Alabama off guard pretty quickly, and let's see what we can do. I think, for what we can do defensively, we just got to go out and make adjustments. We got to go out there and make adjustments. And again, it starts with our interior guys, like I was implementing earlier. I think our interior and edge rushers have got to have a game. They got to have a game here. They got to try to get their confidence back, man, because what I saw from this offensive line, literally bullying these players, not during the play, but after the play. And the fact that we weren't doing anything, like typically, what would happen if, let's say, a Courtney Upshaw got bullied and he got thrown to the ground? You know what Dante Hightower and a lot of our Jesse Williams and a lot of these guys would have been doing to these players? They don't care.
You had a young Ryan Anderson. You had a choir boy, Christian Miller, sitting there that we saw how much that boy used to get into it on the field. That boy would get on that field and turn into a different person, a whole thug. And I'm right there with you, Jay. Bro, go ahead.
Like we'll take that 15 easily, because we'll know that we'll kill you on the next series. You'll just piss us off even more. We'll kill you in the next series. I didn't see that at all for this team, so we got to try to establish that mentality back, guys. That's a very important. I know it's not the schematic in football talk, but it's a very, very important aspect when it comes to football. We gotta bring that back before anything else. We got to stand up for each other. We got to bring that continuity and chemistry back. But no, as far as everything else goes, interior and pass rush, got to show improvement, because I think South Florida, they're going to go into this game. They're going to look at confidence. They're going to take a look at what Texas offensive line did a great job did a phenomenal job with communication, an incredible job with communication. They were clicking on all cylinders. I think they're going to take away for what that offensive line was able to do. And I think South Florida, they got some really good skill position players that has speed. And I think for the most part, they're going to take some shots. They're going to try to catch Alabama off early, and we'll see how we'll respond to that.
Coach Jay, give me your assessment going into this game, and I really want you to focus on this offensive side in front. You always give a good perspective that I like to bounce off of when it comes to offensive side. Same with Coach Jay with defense. He has a different way of allowing me to look at things a certain way. So talk about this offensive front and just more so the run game. I think the pass game is going to end up getting there, whatever quarterback. But talk about the run game, what you want to see, because I love run scheme. I love run game. So just talk about it, brother.
I want dominance, man. This offensive line's got to be dominant. And I'm not just talking about just, creating some holes here and there. I'm talking about pushing dudes off the line of scrimmage, 2, 3, 4 yards down. I want dominance. The middle, and Coach Shawn, and both of you guys talked about, you, Shawn, and of course, Coach Smook talked about this, how Middle Tennessee, we were creating opportunities. We were creating some lanes, but it wasn't consistent against Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee they were getting pressure. Middle Tennessee were taking advantage of gaps, and we talked about Darian Dalcourt, and we talked about how J.C. Latham and Booker just didn't really have the strongest amount of games, and we thought that it was cleaned up. Hell, for the first quarter in Texas, it looked cleaned up because we were moving them off the line, we were moving them off the ball. But then all of a sudden the adjustments came, and we just regressed. We regressed back to what we were in 2022, where we weren't even doing it. So I want to see dominance, just complete dominance. And I do think Jalen Milroe will be the starter. I think that for the most part, Ty Maurice, I think he's going to take a look at that Texas game. I think he's really going to see the true strengths and weaknesses of Jalen Milroe. And I think we're going to start to run a lot more potential.
Don't get into it, because this is where I want to throw it to Coach Shawn.
Okay.
Coach Shawn, schematically, what adjustments you think we're going to see with Tommy Reese in his office schematically to help Jalen Milroe? Talk to me.
If Milroe is the starter, I want to see him use Milroe's strengths against this team. They're undersized. They got some athletes on the offensive side of the ball. But if Jalen is going to be the starter for this game, and this is only if Jalen is the starter of this game, I want to see some quarterback keepers. I want to see some zone reads where he keeps the ball, RPOs where he keeps the ball. I want to see some things that accentuate his strengths. He can throw downfield. We all know that. I want to see some things based around him, because it's a better way to use that kid if he's going to be the starter. I don't want to, I understand in the flow of the game, at some point he's going to drop back and make a pass, 3rd and long at some point. I get it. But put some points on the board, man. I want this kid to get his confidence up. I want to let this kid go. If he's got the starter, I want to see him go in. I want to see him play well. For me, I'm a little different. For me, it's be difficult at this point to bring another quarterback in and let him start. I think if Jalen goes out there and play well a couple series, I do think another quarterback will play this game. I'm not sure when. I don't think it'll be garbage time play. I think Coach Saban's going to let somebody else play this game. I really believe that.
Get out of my head, bro.
if for nothing else, to light a fire on the Milroe. You know what I mean? So I do think we'll see 2 quarterbacks this game. I don't think we'll see 3. I think we'll see just 2 quarterbacks this game, which to me, that's the way it should be. It's, at this point, it's not about getting reps to everybody. You should know at this point, with this amount of practice, who your top 2 quarterbacks are. You should know that. I understand we're trying to make everybody happy. I get it. But at this point, we got some big games on the schedule. Let the guys go out there. Let the guys play. Accentuate their strengths, not their weaknesses. And let's see who our starter is going forward.
Before I let you go real quick, Coach Boot, it's funny. My mom, she just texted me, and she just told me, said, you know who Jalen Milroe reminds me of? If he can just reach that ceiling and how he kind of plays like. He said he plays like Nick Marshall from Auburn. And I couldn't agree with that more. When you look at how Nick Marshall and that 2013 Auburn team, which is, again, Bama fans may be pissed off what I'm about to say. That was one of the that offense was fun to watch. Exactly, but look at the amount of run design plays and the amount of the creative design plays that they were to establish and catch defenses. Like, you knew they were going to run the ball, but the plays of how they were able to design it it was night and day. It made it so much easier, not just on the offensive line, but it would literally caught defenses off guard. Maybe that's something that we have to do with Jalen Milroe more design play, of more design runs, and really just be more creative. We can still be creative and run RPOs and still get Jalen Milroe to throw the football a little bit more. But that creativity of what Nick Marshall was able to do in 2013 and 2014, maybe it's something that if we do one with Milroe, like Coach Shawn said, we got to use his strengths, because if he's playing a role that, let's be honest, he's just not ready for. Ty Simpson and Buckner fits that role, but like Coach Saban said, there's a reason why they're not starting over Milroe.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
And I'm gonna say it like this.
Remember that point.
I'm gonna say it like this. You brought up the perfect scenario. I said it Saturday after the game. You see, Jalen Milroe's deep ball talent has never been in question. It's just that ability to be a quarterback. Quarterbacks are required to read defenses. Somebody posted a crazy comment, said, what college quarterbacks know how to read a defense. The ones that are started and are having a good season and have good careers, they learn how to read defenses. That's 60-70% of the play. Delivering the ball is the easy part. You throw the ball from the time you step on the field, man. As a quarterback, you start throwing the ball. It's not about necessarily getting the ball there. It's knowing when to let it go so it can get there. Getting the ball into the athlete's hands. And if like to piggyback off of just how we're going to come back in off of this loss to Texas going into USF, I honestly believe we see more of those play action rollouts. We get Jalen Milroe off platform, get him on the move, get him trusting in that throwing that ball on the run, because it was a lot of times like the Burton play we were talking about earlier where he tossed it off to McClellan. Milroe last year, I believe, would have tried to force that downfield to Burton, but him trying to focus on being a quarterback and trying to be create those Bryce plays when there's no need to create those Bryce plays is causing him to be kind of tired. And I want him to get out there and play football. And you do need to call plays that allow him to play football. Put him on the move. Keep his eyes in the area. Make the defense move with him. Don't let the defense sit and wait on him. That's one thing I did want to highlight. Second half, defense waited on a lot of things in that past game. Well, things were opening up late in play or 3 and 4 seconds into the clock. But you got to be able to make those reads. You got to be able to throw guys open. And I want to see that this week, especially if we're going to go deep, guys getting behind guys. I don't want to see them slowing down for the ball. You have this 75, 80-yard arm talent. Put it on the rope if you have to. Give these guys a chance to make plays. You got to test them. You got to test them downfield. And just give guys an opportunity. But I would love to see a three-headed monster back there with Milroe, Justice, Jam, Milroe, Jace, Justice, like just having that rotation,
Justice
man.
Hangs the ball.
This man needs to eat.
Yeah.
This man needs to eat. Hold on one second. Shout out to my boy Tim Lovett. Games like this is why we continue to lose the top 3 defensive tackles and inside linebackers in the nation to Georgia. I know the defense played too many snaps, but zero pressure is crazy. I can't argue with it.
To piggyback off Tim real quick. Somebody in the chat tell me the last, and I'm not talking about 4-star, number 6 rank, 5 rank. What's the last top ranked 5-star interior defensive lineman we got?
Damian Payne.
Was Damian Payne a 5-star?
Yeah, he was like the number 2 or number 3.
Because I think
interior.
And then James Smith.
James Smith too last year. Then you got Jaheim Otis was like number 4, I think. He just missed.
Check this out. All those guys play on the inside, right? Play on the interior. Yep. Well, I know Jaheim Otis just moved outside from what he say, or play a little bit of the outside a little bit. He played DN a little bit. If those guys are 3-4 base, that's a great. I love that. Quentin Williams. Shout out to Crimson Tide Beast. Why not get these kids in there to get them ready for the run game, bro? Why not get these kids in there? Because I seen 44 playing. He played a little bit. Didn't do much. Why not get the young kid in there, man? You know what I mean? Get him in there and let him get beat up. Get him in there and get him some reps. Because nothing helps a player adjust to college football.
And game reps.
That's a
game reps.
Look what Texas did with Anthony Hill.
Let's make sure we clarify that game reps matter, y'all. I've seen I've played with practice players. Guys I line up next to. If I go out and I line up in the slot and they motion the H over to me, because we used to run small H, come from the slot. And I knew it was one guy in practice, man, just running prettiest, cleanest routes. I knew because of his routes, I was gonna be open. You know what I'm saying? How he looked. Yeah. So it'll be times in the game playing, and at this time it's NAIA ball. This ain't high school ball, man. You have to do your job. And it'll be times he come in the game, man. Any type of hand on his shoulder, and then he's giving up on the route, and that affected the whole phase of the offense. So I don't see that from guys, in our wide receiver group. I don't see that from guys. So Milroe has opportunities out there. He got to just take them. And so let's jump to the defensive side before we get too carried away, man. Defensively, I think we just need to make the plays, y'all. I think we just honestly just make the plays. It was a lot of times playing against Steve Sarkisian offense. Like you said, Shawn, we held those guys to 13 points for majority of the game. And there were a lot of plays where they made mistakes. We were able to rebound and keep them out of the end zone. Terry Arnold made smart plays, not giving up points on one of those drives. The other one ended up resulting in a touchdown, but we weren't out of the game. So defensively, execution wise, Coach Shawn, talk to me. What you trying to see as far as pressure, all that stuff?
Get Kendrick Blackshear in the game a little more too. Kendrick Blackshear brings the juice, man. I mean, I know we got some great inside linebackers. When Trez seemed to get a little fatigued, Kendrick came in and was thumping. That kid has made an impact for 2 weeks straight. Yeah, him and Campbell. And I hope we get him in the game a little bit more early. Kendrick is juiced, man. I think that kid is primed to have a great season if we can get him on the field a little bit more. We've got several guys that can play that position, several guys, and injuries take a toll on some guys throughout the season. I'd love to see Kendrick get in a little bit more. I want to see Quindarius Robinson a little bit more, because to me, right now, Quindarius Robinson to me is our best pass rusher. To me,
he's one, and then right behind him is Braswell. Turner hasn't showed up for me in 2 weeks, y'all. That's just my personal opinion, and I know he's a fan favorite. I know he's supposed to be the Will Anderson replacement, but Will Anderson didn't dominate last year. I like Jihad when he's on the field. I like Blackshear when he's on the field. I like Marshall out there. I mean, Campbell and Blackshear, that combination there is just energy and intensity that I want to see on the field majority of the time. Lawson got the smart. He got the athletic ability. Lawson played a solid game too. Defensively, guys, we have to impose some type of will. And I mean, like, not like even against Middle Tennessee State where they had opportunities and just missed them. We got to make it to where they have no options. Yeah. Going into week 3, we have to make it to where it's like, okay, we're running the ball only because our offense is on the field. We can't do nothing else. We need that. This game, I don't want to see it being in question coming into post-game show after this game, y'all. I want Jaheim and those guys. We need 6 sacks. We need a big sack game. We need a crazy game that people get overhyped about, but guys actually go out there and dominate, not have questions out there. Week 1, it was okay because it was week 1. But week 3, after the suffering loss like you did to Texas, where you just didn't execute and you didn't make the 4 big plays you need to compensate for them 10 points that you gave up, guys, we got to see it this week. Coach Shawn, Coach Jay, coaching schematics. Let's talk about it. What do you see Nick Saban trying to implement this game on both sides of the ball as a team?
Go ahead, Coach.
What do we see Nick Saban trying to implement? Coach Jay, you take it away.
I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind at all for this game if we became a little bit more aggressive, right? Sending Quindarius Robinson, you guys are right. They are our best pass rushers, which is kind of crazy because we had huge expectations for Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell. But I wouldn't mind it. But for the most part, I actually believe that we're going to see much more reps from a lot of these guys. We're going to see a huge set of rotation. I wouldn't mind it all if we see Quindarius Robinson start to play a little bit more off the edge. I wouldn't mind at all if you start to see him play that little bit of that role where he's playing both as an off ball or potentially playing as an edge player. I think we're going to be a little bit more aggressive. I think our secondary was fine. Mm-hmm. I think it was fine against Texas. The biggest question for me was that defensive front, and especially when it came to pass rush situations, because there were times with the most part we had 3 linemen playing. And again, it was a lot of our nickel and dime packages. It is what is there, but for the most part, we weren't getting pressure with our base 4. We certainly weren't getting pressure if we were rushing with 3. So we got to start being a little bit more aggressive. I think that's one thing you can say with Kevin Steele is that I think we game planned a little bit too much with the run game. You can tell that in order for us to win that game, we had to eliminate all run plays. We had to eliminate that and rely on Quinn Ewers, because Quinn Ewers, for the most part, even though we know the potential that Quinn Ewers has, the fact of the matter is he just hasn't really played that well. And I think we looked at that Rice game and said, you know what? I trust our defensive linemen on base 3 with 3 and with that base 4 of them getting to the quarterback and just relying for the most. We got to stop the run first. That just has to be that mentality. Yeah. I trust our front 4 in order for them to get it, and it just didn't happen.
Coach
just
Jay,
didn't happen. We didn't.
Before you continue, man. Smoking Bud said something in the chat that I want Alabama fans to realize. And I've been saying it since before we started. What made Alabama defense so great, and you were just talking about it, being able to get pressure with the front guys, not having to send 5. Having a true spy, and letting your outside linebackers do their work while your interior guys just continue to push, continue to gap contain and push. The moment you can establish that, because our guys are covering every play. There was only 2 plays where the ball was released less than 3 seconds and it was a positive play. You get what I'm saying? Like a big play. Only 2. So that means our coverage is doing their job. Whether we're dropping 5, whether we're dropping 6. When we dropped 8, they didn't convert. My thing was, I mean, the one time they did was the late pass, you know, the late completion to Whittington coming across the middle when Braswell was on Ewers' back, literally bringing him down as he was releasing the ball. But I mean, the opportunities are there. My thing is, you can't ask guys to cover for 5 seconds 60 times a game or 40 times, however many times they drop back. You can't ask, you know, your linebackers to fill 60 times a game or how many times they run the ball, 30 times. You can't ask them guys to do it. You can't act physically. Even with a deep rotation, it's just not going to happen. There's momentum that's, you know, swings and, you know, it's just so much that goes into play when you're talking about dominating the trenches, and it all starts with design. So I feel confident that we're going to be aggressive. We have to be. I think we see more blitzes. I think we see more jam coverage on the outside, closer on the pressure, allowing guys to be athletes, making Kool-Aid cover and allow him to not be in question when he's in cover. Because that's one thing I did see. Kool-Aid questioned a lot of them coverage calls that was coming out. He saw one thing and on the play you keep, the little reverse play when Ewers goes out and throws it back. If Kool-Aid had a line, like the defense was everybody, the call that got sent in based off of what this book plays, instead of being smart and being a football player on the field, they score on that play. But at the last before the snap, he looked at the lineman, he saw the motion, he said he was calling the safety, come back. I got one under. Mine's out. And he ran, made the play. So that's the type of thing I like to see from you talking about guys picking it up and understanding and changing mentality. I think we do see signs, but it has to be more effectuous. Go ahead, Coach Shawn.
For me, I wish we played more aggressive. One thing I liked watching about Georgia's defense is I know we have that formation. What is it? Rabbits? What is it? Where we got all the linebackers on the field at
Cheetah
one time.
package.
Cheetah package.
A little raptor. No, raptor package.
Raptor package. Okay. Well, listen, Georgia, whatever they call theirs, they play like that a lot, bro. A lot. Georgia will live and die with that blitz, man. They'll send the house. I'll never forget when they played Tennessee last year, a couple weeks after we did. Man, they beat up Hendon Hooker so bad, bro. They sent everybody, and they're willing to live or die with what happened on the back end. They come in to get that quarterback, man, and they're gonna do bodily harm to him. I wish we were more aggressive like that. I see us every once in a while we'll rush 3 and drop 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. I want to see us be more aggressive, man. And also I want to see somebody. I want to see one of our D tackles, in our case, nose tackles. I want to see a nose tackle step up and dominate, man.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen any interior lineman really dominate. I got spoiled with Quentin Williams. I got spoiled with Deron Payne. I got spoiled with Dalvin Tomlinson and Deshaun Hand and even and Jonathan Allen, even though he played DN. I got spoiled with these guys, man. So I want to see somebody come in and dominate from that nose, dominate the 3 technique, dominate the 5 technique. I want to see one lineman come in and absolutely take over the line of scrimmage.
Shawn,
that's
you literally saying it, bro. You literally saying it. We haven't had a lineman that could do both in pass and run, because to me, Otis does awesome on the run game. I'm talking about stuff in the run game, creating havoc.
But Otis tends. I watched him he tend to get lazy throughout the game.
after his contact, he tends to let off as if where my help at. No, I don't be looking for your help. Finish the play. You done dominated 2 dudes. Make it that much better by chasing that 3rd one down.
Yes, man. That boy Quentin Williams, that boy's motor never stopped, and that's why.
Remember that?
And look,
you remember him having the 2 guys with both one hand?
Yeah, man, yes,
bro, that was crazy to me.
That's why Quentin signed that. What was it? 179 million right now.
He became the richest out of all of them.
Yeah, man. So I want all the young defensive linemen who play at Bama to look at that kid, man. You know, that kid wore himself. I'll never forget that Oklahoma game. He absolutely dominated him, man. So I want to see an interior lineman step up to the plate and dominate your box, man. Dominate.
And it helps the defensive line because you create more opportunities for other players to make plays.
That's how tackles create value. How do you create opportunities for people around you to where you're the kid from Georgia, Jordan Davis, what's his name?
Yeah.
It wasn't that he was just this great pass rusher. This dude demanded 3. Because if you put 2 on him, he was going to affect your quarterback.
Yeah. Him and Jalen Carter, both
Jalen Carter.
picks.
And I'm telling you guys, it's not a matter of scheme at this point, guys. I'm telling you, these guys were in place. We didn't talk about this play, and I don't want to continue talking about Texas, but small things like having guys in place to where your DB can break on a pass behind or that's 6 yards short of the line to force another turnover and downs in a key moment, and two DBs going throw their shoulder on one guy instead of both DBs wrapping up and carrying this dude to the bench, literally picking him up and carrying him. Both of y'all picking up and carrying. You remember when Reuben Foster and them DBs used to get hits on the sideline? Either the dude was going down or they was holding them up and handing them to the teammates on the sideline. You know, that's the type of energy we need, y'all. And
look, not to interrupt you, Coach, I
Go ahead.
apologize. Coach Sark, when you guys see those short passes throughout to the receiver, just real quick, just raise up, hike, throw it out there. That's seeing if your corners want to tackle.
Yeah,
that's seeing if your corners are gonna come up and make the play, or are they gonna because I know just from coaching now, if you throw up a hot right out there, a shotgun quick as we call it, and the corner is lagging or he's hesitating,
we coming at it.
We're gonna keep working him. We're gonna keep working that guy. That's a fact.
The thing, and that's why I said the DBs, especially the corners, did awesome to me, you know, in that game, because we didn't let Sark rely on that edge. He had to start coming closer inside because those guys started cheating up. It was one time, I think Jalen Key, if he didn't hesitate on that blitz, man, he breaks that whole little trick play up, man. And that's just a result of not being in this system long enough, understanding what your job is. He's too busy worried about making a play instead of going and do your assignment. Your assignment is go blow the ball up in the backfield, meaning the quarterback has the ball after the fake, you're blitzing, blow him up. He did it. He hesitated and it caused a different play. So we're going to see, hopefully, I'm not going to continue to say what we're going to see because this is starting to give me those, and I'm not giving up on the season by far. I'm not giving up on Jalen Milroe, anything. We haven't had much of we've only had a sample size in 2 games to see what this team, we've seen their high, we've seen their lows. We've seen what they could possibly be when they execute at 110%, and we've seen what they could be when they execute at 50%. So it's one of those things where I'm optimistic and I'm excited to see how they respond. Am I nervous about how they may respond? Yes. But overall, I'm excited to see how they respond. And as a fan of this program and as seeing what Coach Saban has done in the past, usually our teams respond in these moments. Let's see if we can see that happen again. Go ahead, brother.
Let me say big shout out to Smoke and Bud. Big shout out to Mr. Pigskin. Big shout out to TG. These guys have some great comments, man. I really enjoy those guys' comments. Troubled, man. You know, Darryl Williams, you know, even Darryl Williams, man. These guys got some good comments. Smoking Bud always makes sense. Tim Levette, $4.99 super chat. We need new leaders. Kool-Aid ain't it. Wearing all that jewelry before the game and these boys following suit. I see no dogs on this team. Prima donnas.
The jewelry and the mouthpieces, man.
In my opinion, I want all the coaches to chime in on this. I'm an old school dude, brother. I played when football was football. It wasn't all this hooky, bookie, 5 wide. I played when you had to come up and really be about that business. I agree 1,000%. I don't care about your bro. Listen. I hope Kool-Aid or somebody know Kool-Aid. Listen, I love the jury. It's great. Love it, brother. Love it. Shout out to you. But when you losing, nobody gives a damn. You know what I mean? SPH said that. Don't care who don't like it. When you losing, brother, nobody cares about none of that. You know what made the past Bama teams great? They had discipline. They done things together. They didn't run down the field celebrating by themselves. They celebrated with their teammates. I'll never forget Reuben Foster knocked what's my man from LSU?
Leonard Fournette
head off. He ran to the sideline and the whole team went bananas. That made me hop up off the couch and went crazy. You understand what I'm saying? That's what it's about, man. I love the jury. Love it, brother. And I don't hate on you, young brother. Get your money, get your NIL, do your thing. But all these colorful mouthpieces, half of you don't got them in your mouth. All this ridiculousness. Come on, man. Nah.
The goal.
I'm going to go last because I'm about to.
I agree with the old Bama players, for real.
The gold mouthpieces have to go, man. The gold mouthpieces, the yellow mouthpieces, the green mouthpieces. It just like how Bo Scarborough said, man, it pisses me off because we're not following the tradition. We're not following the tradition. We're not following we want to talk about how these players talk about how we trust the process. How do we believe you when you can't even wear normal white mouthpieces?
Colorado don't got different mouthpieces.
They don't have that. Exactly. Like they
do not. They do not.
Them boys got grills in their mouth. They got these fat Cuban chains on. These boys.
But
listen,
what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying. My bad, Jared. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is, when you see Colorado, they is as uniform as you could possibly be, brother. All that's cool when you're winning. But when you go out and get, come on, man, I'm gonna be quiet.
Listen, this is what the difference is. Everybody want to make it about all that stuff that don't matter about what happened on the field. It has nothing to do with it. No,
it does matter.
You want me to tell you why?
It absolutely does matter.
Tell me this. Before we stop. Nope, I didn't cut you off. Let me get mine out.
Louis bags.
Them boys came in. They got recruited on this. This is what they got. This is what caused them to come to Alabama. They don't come and get this whole. I guarantee you, they not getting that old school talk. This is old school ball. If you don't want to play old school ball, you can't play at Alabama. I guarantee you. So when they come to Bama and they're told that your individuality and your self-worth and your value worth is what matters to us, these guys are still finding the doggone fine line between that. So that's where that has nothing to do with guys making tackles on the field. You go and you look at Georgia, these guys got their own NIL deals. They got their own little mouthpieces and stuff, they specialty stuff. Yeah, they winning. Guess who was winning before them? Bama. You get what I'm saying? So it ain't got nothing to do with that. At the end of the day, fellas, guys gonna do what they do off the field, regardless of what happens. We had guys that was smoking weed at Bama in 2008, 2009, off the field, getting caught up at bar fights and stuff. Guys doing their own thing, buying cars, doing their own thing before social media became mainstream. Kids been doing this. It's a fact that the things that we as fans keep paying attention to, talking about some Amari Knee Black being on the live after the game. What he's supposed to do? Go home and want to kill himself because he played a great game and the team didn't finish? Like, the kid played his first big game in college football. His first big game in college football. He went out there and made an impact. We lose. Let's wake up tomorrow and go back at it. Filter it out. How do you filter out? Some people go and sit on the porch, sit on the dock of the bay, listen to the wind blow. Some people get on their Instagram and listen to music. It's just a way of it's the change of college football. And if Alabama doesn't find a way to find his niche in it, we're going to continue to fall behind. Kirby Smart has found his niche in it because none of them players, when they go out and make bad plays, they're not getting ridiculed for being on Instagram and dancing by their fan base. They literally going out there and making up because they know it's a process. It ain't got nothing to do with all that extra stuff. Ain't got nothing to do with on the field. I don't care what y'all say, bro.
Listen, bro. Listen to me. That's cool. I respect it, right? I coached LeBron Ray all 4 of his years. They didn't sell nothing about no jury to him. They told him to come to Bama, work hard. This is what's gonna happen to you in the future.
Did LeBron Ray have NIL?
Hold up. We lost to Tennessee, bro. Got our ass whipped by Tennessee. I don't care about your Louis bag. I don't care about your link.
It ain't got nothing to do with the field, bro.
National TV, bro. I don't care about your personal stuff, bro. What you talking, man? Bro, listen. If you get beat by Tennessee, how dare you go tweeting about your Louis bag? Come on, fam. What we doing?
This is my point right here. Thank you, Javian. It ain't got nothing to do with no.
I understand about your social. I understand what you're saying about the kids are younger. I get it. You're right about that. Social media is a part of their lives, bro. So you can't take that from them. You 100% correct on that. But it's a way to do it, bro. It's a way to do it. If you gonna shine, you better be balling, bro. Georgia, you mentioned Georgia. Them dudes ain't trying to be no individuality, especially if they losing, bro. Kirby would lose his face, man. You know what I mean? It's a way to do it. Are we saying you play Tennessee and get beat like that on national TV? I don't care about your Louis chain, bro. Your bag. I don't care nothing about that. Respectfully.
One of the things. I'm sorry, Coach.
Go ahead. No, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm finished. Go ahead.
One of the things that made Georgia so special, and this is how you know, I said, you know what, Georgia might be on the midst of a dynasty, was when I forgot. I think it was Quay Walker. Quay Walker, when Cameron Latch was wide open, he was wide open, sat right there, right, was able to sit right in coverage, wide open in the end zone. Nakobe Dean had to make up for Quay Walker's mistake and attacked him and forced the incompletion. If he would have made that touchdown, that could have changed the life of the entirety of the game. You know what Nakobe Dean did after the play? He didn't celebrate. He went right over to Quay Walker and he cussed him out.
Yep.
Cussed him out right there on the field because he knew because he's letting him know, do your job. Why do I have to do stuff for you? And this is what we talk about before. And again, we understand it's modern. It's modern, right? It's the 21st century. Players are going to do what they're going to do because at the end of the day, these are kids. They're human beings. But when we talk about leadership, when we talk about continuity, when we talk about holding players accountable, I think to me it's a part of it because it kind of tells me that no one is above. This is what Bo Scarborough's talking about. No one is above the team. We hold each other accountable. No one is. It doesn't matter how much you get paid. When you step on that field, we don't want to see the jewelry. We don't want to see the gold mouthpieces and all that stuff like that. We are all one together because guess what? If one person is above the team, we're not going to win that. We're not going to win a lot of games with each other because there's going to be grievances. Like you can't tell me what DJ Campbell did to Deontay Lawson doesn't piss off any Bama fan. Because what pissed me off more, and I keep implementing this, why didn't any players walk up to DJ Campbell and smack him in the mouth or step up to him? That tells me all I need to know about the culture right now with this team. Because again, we can talk about on the field and schematics. If we're not holding these players accountable, if these players are not holding each other accountable and even stepping up for them in the moments where players are literally bullying them off the field right in front of the Alabama bench, it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to win a lot of games if you can't step up and be that leader. So that's what I think what me and Coach Shawn is trying to get into, man. It's a mental thing. We got to get it right. No one is above the team. Keep the tradition because that is what made us have 6 national championships. We made our own tradition. The players made their own tradition, not the coaches. They made their own tradition. They kept the standard for all these years. And the players, and what we're seeing over the last 2 years, this started 2 years ago with all this crap happening, when there was more individuals on the field than us coming together. It started 2 years ago, and it's happening still now to this day. And after that Texas game, this is what I'm saying, man. I had tears coming down my eye before I came on this damn show because I'm literally watching this team self-destruct. I'm watching them self-destruct. Not just schematics, not just based off of formations and misreads and stuff like that. It's watching what's happening off the field. It's watching what's happening to these guys when they're getting bullied and Texas players are making fun of them and stuff like that. And them putting the horns down and celebrating on our own logo. Yeah. That never happens at the University of Alabama. But it's happening now because it's more individuals than teams that come together, man.
Go watch a Ryan Anderson interview. It's gonna make the hair on your arm stand up. With no smiley, jokey. Bro, we trying to destroy you on the football field. We trying to send all your fans home unhappy. And I ain't hating on the young kids. Do your thing, brother. I said I don't care what you do. It's just what got me. We lost to Tennessee in that fashion. I didn't see no anger when nobody. I'm not saying I'm in the locker room, but I don't care what. For God's sakes, brother, if you gonna lose to Tennessee, cool, bro. I don't play for y'all. That's fine. I played at HBCU. If you want to lose to Tennessee, hey man, that's your business. But don't tweet me your Louis bag the same night, bro. I don't. Come on, fam. Have some. It's a lot of dudes who bled for that, sweat for that. At least be mad for one night. That's all I ask. Be mad for one night, bro. Then you can go back to your jury tomorrow. At least do that.
Hey, shout out Taylor Anderson for the $9.99 super chat, fam. We appreciate you for coming through. Roll Tide. And as we close out this show tonight, man, as y'all can see, I ain't hearing none of that what they talking about, but it is what it is. We can agree to disagree. Roll Tide still. I think it's done on the field, man. At the end of the day, it's done on the field. But we want to talk about scoring predictions. We're gonna get into score predictions this week. I honestly don't know how this Bama team is going to come out. I don't know what type of attitude, what type of energy is coming from this team. We could say what we think we saw in these interviews today. We can say what we think we see in these practice clips. Honestly, I don't see a pissed off team. I don't think they should be pissed off. I think they should. Why would you be pissed off? This was your opportunity to go out and show why you were pissed off. You know what I'm saying? Like last year was your opportunity. So knowing how this game ended last year, coming into this season, knowing everything was set up for you to be pissed off and to show that you're the better team. It's not time to go out and say you're pissed off now. So my thing is come up and show it on the field this week. Come out with your attitude on your sleeves on the field. You get what I'm saying? Not coming out, like you said, Shawn, with that soft energy. Like, come out with your attitude on your sleeves. That's what I rather, and rather than judge what they do off the field, bump it. On the field, though, like Jerick, I'm with Jerick all the way. On the field, let's be dogs. If it's gonna be 15, let's make it worth it. You get what I'm saying? Don't be around there helping your guy up after you just seen somebody stomp him, or you basically body slam him. You know what I'm saying? Like, not a football play at all. Play is over with. You get what I'm saying? So at some point, we got to just be more physical, and maybe it's not the old school way of physical. You know, maybe we're stuck in that middle of trying to find the new form of physicality. Georgia is doing it their way, but we see what they're doing. You see what's happening with Georgia. They're doing the same thing we did after like 2 or 3 years of dominating. They're coming in and struggling with, FBS schools and Ball State for the first half. I mean, we did that 3rd and 4th year trying to run for a natty. So this week, Bama, we got to step up. We got to dominate it. I need a shutout defensively. So even if it's 38-0, meaning the second quarterback come in second quarter and get some meaningful game reps just in case. Because if Jalen Milroe come out hot, 3 successful drives, let's get him out of there and see who our possible number 2 could be. Because we got to get in the conference game planning starting this week. And if you don't know what you're going to be able to do with Milroe, we got some problems going into conference play. Coach J, then Coach Shawn. Predictions on this weekend.
I think realistically for me, I'm gonna say 41. I'm gonna say 41-10. I'm gonna say 41-10. I think we do see some changes. I would like for this to be a blowout. I don't want this team moving past the 50. Me personally, if we talk about how Tyler Booker talk about how we're pissed off again, why weren't you pissed off during the Texas game? I have no idea why, but we're more pissed off after the game than during the game. It is what it is. But I think around 41, maybe even 48-10. Again, I don't want to see this team even move past the 50, but I think that we're gonna continue to make some mistakes. I think there's going to be some things that we're going to learn from this game, and I think that there's going to be some mistakes that we're going to have to carry over moving on to the Ole Miss game. So I'm going to say 41-10. I think Jalen Milroe starts. I think he does become a little bit better. I think Tommy Rees, for the most part, does make some adjustments, and he does run a lot more designed runs and just a more comfortable offense for Jalen Milroe to run. I don't see him throwing for a lot of yards in this game. I think that rushing wise, I think we can get back to like close to, I think around 100, over 150 yards, if not maybe even more than that for this game. I think it's going to be a little bit more run centric compared to passing plays, which sucks because I know how badly these receivers want the ball. I know and they're working extremely hard, man. They're doing their job and more some. But it is what it is. We got to develop that continuity. We got to develop some sort of rhythm and find where we need to be at in order for us to potentially have a more balanced look. So I'm gonna say 48-10.
For me, I hate making predictions, man. I'm superstitious. I mean, I used to wear the same shirt under my shoulder pads for 4 years. You know, I admit it.
Same.
I think Bama. Yeah, I know it's sad. I admit it. I think Bama about 45 points, man. I pray that these guys can at least shut South Florida out. They got some great skill, but I love, like Coach Smook said, I'd love to get a good shutout in this game, man. You know, I think that'll make everybody feel a little bit better about the situation. I hope we go in and I'll be happy we just go out and just play a good, clean, solid, dominating game, man. At this point, that's really all I want. You know, I want to see us dominate the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. If we can do that, I'll be happy, man. I'll be happy.
I'm and I'm gonna say this to end the show, y'all. This weekend, and I saw somebody say it doesn't matter. If you think this game doesn't matter, you don't know how much like mentality, like just from a mentality. I ain't talking about results standpoint, and we talk about results with mentality, but the mentality of this team this week matters, guys. This week matters more than the Ole Miss game, because if they don't come out and dominate, and I ain't talking about a Middle Tennessee State game type dominate. I'm talking about dominate, bro. I don't like the questions going into week 4. I don't like the questions, and I don't think we have as many questions on defense as we do offense. I think we can grow pretty fast on defense, especially with the young guys that were thrown in, new guys. How they were able to compensate for the mistakes that they did make in the Texas game, but offensively, we have to grow up fast, and it's going to start with this game. Carry over into Ole Miss. Coach J, Coach, you got anything to say before we get up out of here?
No, I just hope that for the most part we show up. I just hope that we just show up, man. That's just all I can say. I just hope that we just show up. And I can't even say we're gonna bring back Bama murder ball. They just got to show me at this point. Just show me. Stop talking, man. Stop talking how you're pissed off. Just show me. Right. Stop talking, man. Just show us. That's all I can say.
Right. Coach Shawn, closing remarks.
Ditto for me, man. Just show me. Dominate. Beat Bama.
And that's all it takes, man. That's all it takes, because we have the talent. We have the receivers. Last point, guys. Milroe, I want to see you make the easy reads early. That's how you buy time. We all know you don't start off the game trying to, take your big shots. You don't want to show your cards in big games like that. Maybe against USF, force him to put the pressure on him early to see if he's ready, composed enough to handle the big calls early. But I want to see consistency. If Milroe has 21 attempts this game, which shouldn't be that way, which I don't think. If he has 21, he needs to complete 17, 18, and they have to be precise, not indecisive, almost should have been picked off like he did against Middle Tennessee State. So I'm excited still, even in the questions that we have. This is a good thing about being a fan of a team like Alabama, man. You get to see their highs, and then going through the changes and possibly, our plateau. It's just the experience, man. It's an experience, and I enjoy it. I enjoy it with this fan base. I enjoy it with you guys on this show. A lot of different perspectives, And before we get out of here, make sure y'all continue to follow this channel, Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. We have our show, Monday Night Quarterback, here every Monday night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 p.m. Central. We try to keep it less than an hour and a half, give you all a chance to come in and just, vent. Let us know how you feeling. Let us know what's going on when it comes to the Bama football team. I do want to say this, y'all continue to support these three guys, these other two guys on this panel right here. My boy Coach Shawn, my boy Coach Jay. They're all, we're all growing, trying to do this content creation thing, and we're working together to get this thing off the ground. Your support is definitely important, so continue to support. And don't forget, man, everybody that gave super chats, we want to thank you. High Power TV, Tim Lovett, Javian Smith, Taylor Anderson. We appreciate y'all for your continued support for this Alabama football outlet when it comes to your college football news and your reports and your reactions. Like I said, Alabama against USF this weekend. I'm excited, guys. We should win. I want us to win. We should win, right? Like, it's USF, right? And I ain't talking about just win with points. I'm talking about like dominate,
destroy them.
Yeah, destroy,
like annihilate them.
I'm not talking about 28-6. I mean dominate. If it is 28-6, it's because they got 2 field goals from 52 yards out. That's the type of game I want to see. And hopefully this offense can grow. Defense, I believe, is going to be straight. So, roll Tide, guys. Love everybody in the chat, man. Catch the playback tomorrow. Y'all will see segments of this playback tomorrow. And y'all be easy, man. It's Roll Tide all day, baby.
Shout out to Hattie Mae. We appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Take it easy, yeah.
All right, brothers.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.